Hi, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Christina Pluff. So this morning, Lauren Laurenti and I attended an AA meeting at the Knights of Columbus in Danvers. Um, we had basically a lot of troubles come our way this morning with getting there and putting in the wrong address and realizing it was only half an hour and a whole sorts of things. So we just got the tail end of the meeting, but we're planning to go to another meeting next week in order to get the correct content for our paper to, get more material for it. Um, but essentially what just even by being at the meeting for a little bit, we were able to really see what it is like in the atmosphere, and we gained a lot from it. First things I want to talk about is this one man who he spoke. First thing he said is, I'm an alcoholic, but he obviously, or not obviously, he seemed a lot further along in his journey than he had been before. He talked about this 3-step program that he would do uh, that he would do with his sponsors called Feel, Deal, and Heal. So essentially, it's really working with the emotions that you have and really feeling out what it is instead of denying what what this addiction does to you. Dealing with the addiction, you know, taking taking the right steps to understand why you're doing it, and learning practices in order to really just see your reasoning behind certain things and understand the addiction in general, and kind of work with yourself in that point. And then the healing is getting back to who you are, and healing those wounds, and really understanding that the addiction isn't taking over your life and that you're greater than the addiction. And from this, he spoke about the sponsorship and the program that he was a part of that contributed to this system of healing. He talked about spirituality a lot and what drove this system, and that was a common topic explained at the meeting. It was in a church, and the meeting did end in a prayer. And also, the one quote that stuck out and what I've learned, and it's a very important quote in my life too. I love this quote, and I think it is really telling for those that are addicts, which is the famous, God grant me the serenity to accept things I can't change, the courage to change things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Uh, when this man spoke about his program, he talked about, submitting yourself to God and whatever you believe is a higher power, and being someone who, religion's questionable, but I definitely believe in, some kind of higher power, something beyond yourself. And I think in order to have this faith, really can help someone suffering from addiction become hopeful, in knowing that this isn't your life, this isn't your life sentence, this is something that you can overcome. You have love that is deserved to you. This you're not a bad person, you shouldn't feel shame. And I think faith, its inclusion in helping those with addiction, is a really, really powerful thing, because it offers this love and support when they someone with addiction may feel like they can't have, or that they don't deserve. It offers this universal love that regardless of our problems, regardless of our mistakes, regardless of it all, we all deserve love, and we all deserve second chances, and we all, it doesn't matter what your past is. We all have a troubled past in certain ways, some more than others, but it doesn't mean that you should be robbed of the right to, take it in with love and acceptance, So I think that is very powerful, and even just hearing this man speak about that, it demonstrated just in the way he spoke, and just, there's a lot of strength in that, and I think that's really important. Um, One other thing I'd like to mention was this other woman. Unfortunately, Laura and I were only able to listen to two individuals speak about their addictions. But like I said, we are looking forward to going to another meeting this week in order to receive more content. But this woman, she was very emotional, and I mean, not tremendously, but she, you could tell this has been an impactful journey for her. And she was talking about, how every morning she, would wake up to get her juice, do what she had to do, and she would look every morning at this mug that she would drink her coffee out of. She had juice and coffee, keeping herself hydrated in the mornings. But she would have her coffee, and it would say on the mug, "It is what it is." And she talked about how, for a long time she thought, this, it is what it is. Like, I have my addiction. This is who I am. Kind of like a learned helplessness of this is what it is. There's no way to change it. This is, my stamp of who I am as a person, and there's nothing I can do about it. And it was powerful. I found this really powerful that she was able to say, you know what? One day she was like, it isn't what it is. Like, I do have the power to change this. And even though the addiction is strong and it is a monster that will take over you, and regardless, there is a power inside of you. And going back to the whole spiritual thing, there is something inside of you that is so much greater. And um, if you just feed that, it really can do wonders. So I thought that was really interesting that I found that very powerful. And I don't know, just the two speakers that I heard just really blew my mind. So I'm looking forward to going to a meeting and being able to hear from more. And one thing I'd like to mention too, which is really funny because I'm a senior, so I had to present my senior thesis, and someone in my classes spoke about woman and receiving alcohol treatment. And she spoke a lot about the stigma of women um, being alcoholics. And honestly, before today, I didn't even think about this. That is the first thing me and Lauren and I mentioned to each other as we walked in. We're like, wow, like, there's a lot more men than women. And being a psych major myself, you learn throughout your psych classes that, a man is less likely to share their emotions than a woman is, and women are more likely to go seek counseling, more men commit suicide than women because it's harder for them to express their feelings. And so, I had this perception of the dynamics of men and women and seeking help, yet there's more men than women. And it was interesting that I was able to listen to that presentation today in my class, because she spoke about the stigma of men and women being alcoholics, and saying that a man, it's normal for a man to, after a long day at work, hang out with the guys, hit the bar, and if one thing leads to another, it can unfortunately in cases lead to an addiction. Whereas for women, they're supposed to be taking care of their kids. They're supposed to be responsible at home. And how irresponsible of a woman to be spending her time after work, drinking or being out. And so definitely there's stigma and shame when it comes to a woman admitting to being an alcoholic. And I found this so interesting because I never thought about this before, but it really does make a lot of sense. And looking into this, I just wanted to read more about it. And even women who are alcoholics who are, let me see, it's something about being in the third trimester of your pregnancy, there's so much shame in that, which obviously, for the well-being of your child, there should be the proper measures in order to prevent this from happening. But, you know, instead of instead of instilling shame in someone who has an addiction, there should be more work in order to prevent this from occurring instead of just adding more shame. Because, as we learned from the man who said feel, deal, and heal. You have to, be aware of what's going on instead of just deny and feel upset about it. And so, you know, um, the disease really has no boundaries. It's one this one resource that I read says, everyone has an equal opportunity for this destroyer, and I mean, I agree. And so I thought it was just quick to mention that even, being at the AA meeting, there was a lot more men than women. So just a little tidbit of that. But thank you for listening, and I enjoyed to see the rest of your responses.